Hi, everybody. This is Dan Stolbarger, and welcome to this week's KFIR Middle East update as we look back of the events that's transpired up until today, which is August 29th. Just a reminder, make sure you grab the PDF PowerPoint. It's available on this YouTube channel, as well as you can go to our website at holygroundexplorations.com. So we always begin with our news bites. Notice there is a new format for the PDF PowerPoint. So just as a reminder, because I kind of switch it up from year to year, and we're getting ready for the upcoming new year in Israel. I always think it's an important time to think about new beginnings, recalibrating things such as that, as Rosh Hashanah is coming up soon. So this is a new look for the upcoming year. And as I mentioned, we begin with news bites. Bottom line, we're going to talk about 3 or 4 things pretty quickly here before we get into our major news items for the week. But the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization, Mohammed, I think you say his name, Eslami, he's made it very, very clear that the country is continuing its uranium enrichment according to domestic Iranian law. Read that in terms of no restrictions. We're going to do whatever we want. Thanks for the billions of dollars that you're giving us, U.S., but Katie barred the door. We are moving forward with our goal of what? Enriching in order to have a nuclear weapon. That, my friends, is the bottom line. Libya, interesting, the foreign minister met behind closed doors talking about this concept of, what do they call it? Let's get together. Let's become normalization. I think that's the phrase that they're using. And word leaked concerning Libya's foreign minister, and she had to escape, in a sense, because of the reactions to Libya even suggesting normalization with Israel. So again, I wouldn't look for Libya to be part of the upcoming Abrahamic Accords. Troubling, at least for me, as an American citizen, loving our country and believing that we need to stand with Israel. Of all the people, Benjamin Netanyahu has yet to be received by Biden in the White House. And it's kind of gone back and forth. But opposition leader Yair Lapid is heading to Washington this week, while Netanyahu continues to wait for a date for this Biden meeting. Bottom line, Biden's probably hoping to take care of this during the UN session, meeting with Bibi on the sidelines, that with election years coming up, there's more and more anti-Semitism growing, and keeping Bibi out of the White House with the red carpet ceremony might be wise in his eyes. Unfortunately, when you look at Genesis 12, it's probably not so wise for our country. I'll bless those who bless thee. I'll curse those who curse thee. The blessing of America over the years is not due to our righteousness by any means. You know that. It's because we've stood with Israel. And I'm starting to see us backing away from those commitments, beginning with this administration. On Monday, this is no big new news to you, because there seems to be a weekly bombing in Syria somewhere, whether it's the Damascus airport or the Aleppo airport, mainly due to keep the supply line from Iran to terrorists, whether it be in Lebanon to Syria, through Syria to Lebanon, Hezbollah, or now, if you've been to Israel before, you know that road that goes from the Dead Sea up to the Galilee. You've seen that security fence, that borderline with Jordan. Because of the closeness of Samaria, there's a lot of concern, and rightly so, because they've already, they've seen the breaking of the fences and supply lines, in a sense, to smuggle arms into Samaria through those fences. And so heightened alert in those areas. But on Monday, Israel took out the Aleppo runway, making it unusable until it's repaired. And again, all of that is just to cut off the supply lines from Iran. And then finally, with all the terrorism that's taking place, let's just call it what it is, Benjamin Netanyahu made it clear that anyone that harms Israel or plans to harm any Israeli better watch it. And so whether it's targeted assassinations or whatever to leaders, whether it's Hamas, but it's enough that you've got leaders in the Palestinian Authority as well as Hamas, as well as, well, keep in mind, Hezbollah's in bunkers. Their leaders never come out of the bunkers anyhow. But Salah al-Irani, which commands the Hamas terrorist cells in Judea and now Samaria, has threatened war if Israel begins launching targeted assassinations of Hamas leaders in Gaza or in Lebanon. I don't think Israel's shaking in its boots. And if I were you, I'd be looking over my shoulder and checking my six quite often. So that's our news bites for this week. Let's take a look at the 4 or 5 major articles that we have. Again, sadly, first article is Biden is funding terrorism. Did you know that twice as many Israelis were killed in 1 month of the Biden administration than in 1 year of Trump's? Twice as many. It's only August, and nearly 26 Israelis have been killed by Islamic terrorists. Last year at this time, 18 had been killed by terrorists, making this a 40% increase in 2023. Why? Well, let's just quote our friend, I don't mean that, let's quote our Elon, let me get it right, I don't want to butcher her name, Omar, okay? Who always makes a statement, it's all about the Benjamins, and that's the case here. The Biden administration has given massive amount of foreign aid, once again, $500 million to the Palestinians, and have not held to the prohibitions given by the Taylor Force Act that has to do with pay for slay. And there's no doubt that these millions, $500 million has gone into the hands of terrorism, weaponizing them, causing the deaths that we're experiencing, seeing in the streets of Israel today. Again, that's our administration at work for you. Saudis in Israel, following weeks of reporting that there's normalization, it could happen at any time. I'm not really believing that. I think what Saudis, and beyond the Saudis is the U.S., we talked about this last week, that it's all about the dollar here. Saudis could threaten to change the way payments made for oil from dollars to the Chinese currency. And so the U.S. is now doing everything to accommodate. And this concept of normalization with Israel sounds good. Sounds good for the Biden administration with an upcoming election, but it's got everything to do with preserving the dollar. And so whatever the Saudis are going to ask is where the U.S. is going to, in a sense, say to Israel, this is the deal. And there's no way that I can see the Israelis capitulating to what the normalization requirements are going to be. So I wouldn't count on that, because bottom line, it's going to deal with major Israeli concessions to the Palestinians, a two-state solution. There's no possible way that I can see that taking place in the future, in the not too distant future, I should say. Antichrist is coming, by the way. I know. I'm one of those who believe that we're on the precipice right now. Our old-fashioned Bible study is cranking up this week, and we're going to begin with, the book of Revelation, because we need to know what the Word of God says about the times we're living in. Okay, let me get off the soapbox. Washington Post, here we go. Romanticizes the good terrorists that target Israeli civilians. Again, an article out that correspondents from the Washington Post met with cold-blooded Hamas terrorists and were, in a sense, blessed by the fact that their correspondents, that they were impressed by the fact that the terrorists paid for their coffee. $6, 20 shekels to buy them coffee. And they're saying, these people, you just need to understand what's causing them to do these things. They're good people. Why? Because they bought you a cup of coffee? Give me a break. Give me a break. Okay, you can read that article. The Washington Post is not worth much, in my opinion. And then we have, again, all about the Benjamins. This is Omar's. Whether you know it or not, her stance is very anti-Israeli. And now things are starting to leak concerning her last trip to the World Cup, who she's met with, Qatar, Pakistan, Al-Qaeda. Bottom line is that we have a member of our Congress that part of her trip, funding, hotel, food, or whatever, are being paid by terrorists that hate America. No doubt, hate Israel, but hate America as well. And so, yes, Omar, it is really all about the Benjamin, and they're coming to you. And then finally, I don't mean this as being funny. There's a new Bible app out that's called Chat with Jesus. And let me just read the promo for it. This app is described as a place where users can find comfort, guidance, and inspiration through conversations with Jesus. It's channeled and funded, empowered by artificial intelligence, AI. But it's not only the good guys that they can chat with. This app comes with a chat with Satan setting as well. Contrary to what some people might expect from certain biblical characters, because you can chat with the apostles, Peter is quoted by the religious news that the characters are designed to be inclusive and tolerant and avoid offending users. For instance, the app tells us it tells the users that we're to prioritize love and respect for all people, regardless of their sexual orientation or their gender identity. I don't think I'm going to be getting that app. How about you? So that's it. That's our report for this particular week. Just a reminder, we're heading back to Israel. Can't wait to get there in the spring, early spring, February 21st through March 1st. And again, we have room. It's filling up. You might want to check everything out, get your deposits in, and join us. Again, a trip to the land of Israel can be, at least it was for me, life-changing. Again, February 21 through March 1st, 2024. Check it out. Our website has all the information, holygroundexplorations.com. And with that, shalom.